Good sign. There you go.
There we go.
Almost back.
All right, let's call Sarah. All right. I think we got things sorted out now. That was on our side.
I blame Johnny V.
I blame my wife, and even though it's not her problem, the minute she walked in the house, the internet had an issue.
It's just that magnetic energy.
She's a wonderful person.
Personality.
She puts up with
just
me.
Glowing.
So let's continue our interview with Sarah Hokom here.
All right, Sarah. We were talking about. We were talking, I think, a little bit about efficiencies and science and everything else that those guys are doing over there to make plastics, and not just the plastics, but I'll say I've ordered in the past from MVP, and they run a very tight ship there, and I think that speaks to everything you were just saying with the efficiencies. And then we also then talked a little bit about maybe that transition of the grassroots efforts of having a lot of ambassadors, a lot of enthusiasts, and then transitioning into having some of our household recognizable professional players like yourself, Matt Dollar, Sias, along with Elaine King. So I think, are we all caught up?
I think that's a pretty good paraphrase of what happened.
I even listen once in a while. Go figure. So, what does this mean as we move into 2019? Do any of your plans change? Does anything? Obviously, you're throwing different plastic, but does tour life or anything that you do how does that change, if at all?
Well, I'm still doing the big schedule, with the Pro Tour, the National Tours, all the majors, and some of the bigger A tiers out there. But actually, it does change a little bit as MVP is supporting me to do some fun mini events, which we're calling the Throw and Go MVP. We'll be doing roughly 25 events over the course of the year. Oftentimes, they'll be on a Monday in between stops. I will be taking a few weekends off, both to rest my body and my mind, but then also to run some weekend events of the same type. And it's going to be, we're going to be all over the country, hitting all sorts of different spots. Including, we'll definitely be getting to places like Des Moines, Iowa. We'll be doing one right after U.S. Women's in Virginia. We're going to head to the Southwest here in the next month, and we're going to be doing 3 or 4 down there. We'll also be hitting Idaho a couple of times, and I'll probably get to Ohio. We're going to run a couple in Michigan. Basically, I'm going to go to St. Louis for sure this year. Probably hit Tulsa. Basically hitting lots of different spots and exposing the disc golf public to what MVP has to offer.
Wow. So certainly taking on, obviously as a sponsored player and a professional on the weekend, but also taking on that, I don't want to say outside sales, but also that ambassador role and that promoter role kind of to the next level. I mean, that's obviously a lot of love you're spreading around and a lot of opportunity for, like you said, a lot of people to get familiar with the brands.
Yeah, our goal is to kind of expose you to the brand. You'll get to compete a little bit with some new discs. And then we're also going to give you the opportunity to kind of test your arm speed. And then we're going to fit you with discs from the MVP Axiom Streamline family that are appropriate for your arm speed and really get people honed into what the best discs for them are.
Oh, that's a really interesting approach. I don't think you really see a lot of people take that type of, or companies, so to speak, take that type of, well, I'll go as far as say scientific approach. Like, oh, guess what? Your arm speed is, 58 miles an hour. We think that this particular disc fits that speed the best. You're going to get
this range of discs.
This range. You've got X through Y, and these are the 3 or 4 or 5, 6 discs that we think would work best for you.
Well, and
yep,
Sarah,
yeah,
I was just going to say, maybe you could elaborate, but we all know that as soon as a disc comes out, almost regardless of your skill level, a lot of usually excited and sometimes naive people will be like, speed 27? I need 6 of them. And meanwhile, they're not accurately throwing a speed 6 or a speed 7 or a speed 4. They just think, well, the faster the disc, the more I need that. And I think we all as you get to know disc golf, you realize that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, and I can appreciate the enthusiasts out there who, want to try these discs that may be a little fast for their arm speed. But if you couple, the speed of the disc with an appropriate stability, there are fast discs that a lower arm speed can handle, and MVP and Axiom have a, full range of those.
Now,
we have, there's some speed 11s and speed 13, speed 14s out there that are really flippy. That would be great for someone who has a bit lower arm speed.
Now,
so we're just trying to fit people with the discs that are best for them. And, I can understand, some people like discs that are a little overmatched for them because they do certain things that they need. Sometimes you need to throw a disc that is way more stable than you might need for a distance shot. But it's great for an approach. It's great for, a dump off, something that will just hyzer out in the way that you want. So there's so much creativity in the game that I would hate to say that, that disc is too fast for you. I mean, sure, it might be too fast for you to throw as far as you possibly could, but that doesn't mean there's not a utility for it in your bag.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, trying to match those up and get people to gauge or maybe even range where those might fit in is a good training opportunity, a good lesson to be learned when you're out there and you're on the road. Now, one of the things when I speak of enthusiasts, terms like cults, fanboys, fangirls, enthusiasts, diehards, whatever, all of those terms get thrown around for all of our different companies. And I think it's fair to say MVP also has theirs, as they should. Every company wants one, is to have that fanboy or fangirl following. MVP has an actual event dedicated just to get their enthusiasts together. I assume you're like headlining that show this year at, is it Gyropalooza? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, Gyropalooza. I'm hoping I can get to it. I think it might be the same weekend as the Green Mountain Championships.
Okay.
I think it's in the middle of September. So we'll see if I can get there. I hope to. But it does really speak volumes to how much MVP really cares about their customers. Hashtag Team Fam out there. Shout out to everybody who supports MVP and is excited about throwing their discs. There's a great group on the fan page that, they're constantly posting about all the great discs they have and the stamps that they found, and they're always really supporting each other to fill in their bags and answer questions and you name it. So far that the fan page and the people who throw MVP have just been a pleasure to work with.
So speaking of obviously throwing discs, MVP, we got a lot of people asking, what are you replacing in your bag? What's going in your bag from MVP or Axiom that's going to fit your game, that's going to fit your arm speed, that you found that works out very well for you?
Well, right now my go-to driver off the tee is going to be an Octane. It's a speed 13, I believe. It's stable. You can put a little angle on it. It'll still stable up, but it's got a lot of glide. It's a bomber. I'm also really liking the Tenacity, which is a little bit faster and a little flippier, but it pops up really nice from a hyzer and, glides and will still hyzer out. So that's the one I'm getting the most distance with. I think the predictable distance is going to be the Octane. And I'm still deciding whether I like the Proton or the plasma plastic better. I'll probably throw several different plastics in the end. So those are kind of my main distance drivers. Fairway drivers, I'm really liking the Crave, the Relay, and then I have there's kind of a hybrid slot in there that I'm enjoying, the Insanity. There's so many options that that's actually been one of the more overwhelming parts of the bag switch. There's so many options. I'm just trying to try them all out and figure out what I like the best. And that'll continue to be part of the process throughout the year.
I'm not going to make a pitch for any disc golf guy stamped Octanes, but I may have a few dozen of those still available. So if you want to support Sarah ultimately, and maybe a little bit of me, some of those are still available.
I see how
with
this
that
is.
sweet. And speaking to your point though, last year when I was working with MVP on making a custom order, triple stamped, 3-color. Anyway, when I was working on that order and I reached out to those guys, they said the Octane is just this phenomenal driver. And that was what they suggested when I said I'd like a driver with a custom stamp, and that was the one that they gave me on a bunch of those. So.
And speaking of stamping, they have just a standard 3-foil stamp that's available, a standard 3-foil stamp process, which that is something that most companies charge a lot of, they charge extra for. They have to actually physically set the discs and then, mark the disc so that they can double stamp it or triple stamp it and make sure that it's all lined up. They have that all automated so they can triple stamp everything. Any of the custom orders. So that's a really, to me, that's completely innovative and leading the market in the availability of, those options in your art, which is actually kind of what their Axiom line is dedicated to, is to the kind of the more multicolored, the brighter colors, the brighter color combinations. And, they have a real dedication to great art. And that's, they're appealing to the creative side of the disc golfer. And so that's kind of just, that's kind of the reasons why they're separate brands within the company.
And I was gonna say, I really love, and I've thought this for a long time, the basic MVP stamps. I think they're very clean, they're very precise, and I just like how they look on the discs. So,
and when I saw, I was going to say, when I saw them go to that Axiom line, I thought exactly as you just described it. It just, from a marketing and branding standpoint, it was like, hey, this is our somewhat, I don't want to say somewhat, but this is our cooler, sexier cousin over here. We've got this option, which has a very distinct look and feel, and then we go a little bit more creative and crazy on this side. And I've seen how they've developed both channels, although when you're looking at the actual plastics and the molds, all very similar. It's just really kind of a branding thing. Is that a good way to summarize it?
Well, it's both branding, but then the designs of the molds are actually complementary to the molds of the MVP brand, right?
Okay,
so
yeah.
if you like the Octane, but you want something that's like just a little bit flippier, then they have a complement in the Axiom line that's just that little bit flippier, or something that is a little bit more stable. So they aren't just doubles of the molds that MVP has. They are actually, a slight stability and speed different, so that you have more options.
And just to throw it out from guest earlier tonight, kind of like you might see a Cloud Breaker might be kind of a lot like a Destroyer, but a very subtle difference. So they're almost complementary, obviously slightly different, definitely different companies, but still coming out of the same molding machine with the same designer.
Yeah, and certainly the distinction there is that the MVP Axiom Streamline brands are all part of the MVP Disc Sports umbrella.
Correct.
Whereas, of course, Discmania is a separate company from Innova.
Of course, yes.
Exactly.
And so, and that already answered the question, which I knew, but to clarify, as Adam asked on the board, can you throw Streamline? And the answer is yes. You can throw all of anything that MVP produces.
MVP
correct?
Axiom Streamline.
Yeah. Yes. And actually, one of the greatest, a great disc that Streamline came out with last year is the Trace, which also may be appearing in my bag. I've really enjoyed how that flies as well.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah, Adam Lawrence just says the Trace is a great disc.
Wow, it's like we're all thinking on the same.
Everyone's on the same page.
Same page here. So a lot of choices, probably more than you even need to go through. Just so many discs there.
It's a good problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whoops, sorry, that's my fault. Do you feel like you have what you need, or do you think this entire year will be a learning process with those? In terms of introducing a new mold, you may have 6 or 8 or 10 right now. Are you gonna get around to trying the other 40 by the end of the year?
I've tried a lot of them. I've probably tried 3/4 of the molds at this point.
No, wait, is that a Discman 3/4?
It's really just a matter of kind of deciding which ones work best for the game I'm trying to play. And so that part, I do think that there'll be, my bag as it is now, which you can look up on my profile at MVP Disc Sports. that bag, I would take a screenshot of that because it's probably going to be much different as the year goes on and by the end of the year. I imagine I'll be throwing a lot of different types of plastic and different molds come this time next year.
So dispel a quick rumor. They don't necessarily make a forehand disc or a backhand disc, but they definitely make an overhand disc, right? Right? No.
Someone on the board was saying how
actually they only make discs for left-handed people, so that's it.
That's an interesting niche market.
See, I would have gone with they only make discs for smart people. That's where I would have gone. I mean, you really need to know a little bit about science in order to throw the MVP brand. Someone did say that actually for overhands they're very smooth overhand throwing disc as opposed to some of the other ones, but. I don't know. I've never thrown an MVP disc overhand. I've thrown a few of them backhand. I really should.
So MVP, little love and shout out. We saw them really step up big, not only with a few of the sponsored pros last year and this year, but then taking over at Maple Hill and seeing the new baskets going at Maple Hill, and then become the MVP Open at Maple Hill. Have you talked about their involvement, whether it's on tours or supporting events? How does that philosophy shake out over there that you've experienced?
I'm not quite sure about what they're doing when it comes to event support, but I do know that I'll be set up to vend at all the big events this year.
Oh, awesome!
So MVP will have a presence at all the events.
Wow,
all the big ones.
Okay.
If you need an MVP disc, come on and see me at the Fly Marks.
And that's going to put a slightly different. It's going to put a little bit more work on your plate. I mean, you're playing, you're competing, you have a mental and a physical, exertion, and then which might be what is that, a disc of theirs? Anyway, you have this exertion, and then at the end of the weekend, or maybe on a Fly Mart night, on a Saturday night or a Friday night, acting as that ambassador, that representative. That's also going to have a component to your weekend now, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It'll absolutely change kind of my, what I do after rounds and what I do before rounds. Mostly after, because we play so early in the morning. But it's a welcome change. I always like to interact with, different golfers and just share stories and talk about discs with people. So this is going to open up that opportunity. I'll also have the help, of course, with Robin, my boyfriend and manager. He'll be there also supporting all of those events and handling a lot of the vending and some of that takedown and setup and all the moving of everything here and there. So, I do have support for that. And so I'm very grateful for him.
And you just relieved me of an awkward question to ask.
Whether Robin's not going to be on tour again.
We're going to see that guy.
Nice to throw that in there.
Robin, obviously one of the favorites out there on tour. Is there a more enthusiastic caddy and supporter out on the tour of not just you, but of every golfer?
I don't think so. I mean, Jennifer McRae's pretty far up there. You got to give her that respect. She's been on the road with Johnny for a while, and she's definitely his number one fan. But
I don't know.
I'm
on their
pretty
side.
Sure he's a tough one to beat on that front.
Yeah, he's. He brings the muscles, the brains, everything. I mean, gosh, we're lucky to have Robin around. Anyway,
I am lucky. Yes.
So are we. I mean, really. Obviously, some of the lots of off-season changes in terms of sponsorships. You were part of that huge move that we talked about a few years ago in seeing Prodigy kind of change up the game, moving on to Legacy. Lots of changes this year. What do you make of the scene? Because you've been one of the most consistent touring professionals, especially on the FPO side, but just in general of all of our pros, men or women. You've been out there grinding as hard or harder than anyone else. What do you make of all these changes and the contracts and the money and the agreements and the multi-year deals? Where do you weigh in on all that?
It's been building. I think once Prodigy jumped out in front of this concept of really, bringing value to the players and letting them be really more a part of something than just being, okay, I'm sponsored, I'm going to throw their discs. they really started to bring people into the inner workings of the companies. And I think that put a lot of pressure on the other companies to kind of match that or try to compete with that. And then, once Prodigy kind of settled into their position and lost some of the players, now they're distributed to other places. I think that sponsorship game has really, really elevated and the impact of the professional side of the sport with the help of the amazing media teams we have out there bringing us all this coverage and helping the public get to know the players. It's really brought a lot of value to the players. And, I think that it was very surprising to me to see Paul leave Innova. And, the big shakeup with Discraft, they've kind of taken a step back from the previous years. And now they've really pushed hard this year. And all of that is really just the growth of the sport and the value seen in sponsoring professional level players, and also has increased the responsibility of the professional players to really represent their company in more than just a playing capacity. And I think it'll continue to kind of do this. I'd really love to see, some of these non-disclosure agreements kind of going away, and I'd really like to see more players getting agents to do their negotiations. It's really powerful to have someone negotiating for you, and I see there being right now the companies certainly still have a ton of the power when it comes to the negotiations, and I think that once we get kind of this players committee going with the PDGA and players start gaining agents and negotiations start getting a little bit more professionally done, I think we're going to see this trend continue.
Perfect. So what are you getting?
Well, I was going to ask, and you're on Team MVP. What was that?
I had to sign an NDA, right?
You had to sign-
I had one of those in college.
I don't believe that you did.
Yeah. I didn't.
No.
I think I did.
Can you talk about two things that I think people are asking questions about? Well, I'll go with three. Did you use an agent for your MVP thing? Okay, you did. And what company did you go through?
Actually, Robin is my agent.
Robin is your agent. Okay, you called him your manager before. I wasn't sure if that was going to be the same. If that was the umbrella.
You called him a boy toy once too.
Yeah, she did.
Him.
Yeah, you called him a boy toy once too, so I'm starting to get confused. But go on.
Well, Robin has a special place. My second question: Are we? Well, I'll go this way. How many years did you sign with MVP? If you don't mind, if you can disclose that.
40.
I think I can talk about that. We actually during negotiations they did offer me a multi-year deal, and I actually asked for a 1-year deal. For the purpose of just kind of making sure that our relationship works out the way we both expect it to. And then next year, of course, I will negotiate for a multi-year deal, assuming everything goes as we both expect.
Perfect. And then what a lot of people here are asking is Signature Series disc. What are we going to see your name on? How can people support you? How can people shove money into your pockets?
Well, we don't need to go quite there, but
I said pockets, people, pockets.
I have a stamp that has already we are working. I think the plate is coming back like this week. I worked with Michael Ramanauskas on the stamp, so it turned out really good. I think triple foil goodness, and I haven't quite. This would be the Tour Series stamp. And then we will be working on a Signature Series at a later date. We haven't decided what disc is going to be, what plastic is going to be. But my Tour Series disc will be out relatively soon, probably by the end of the month. So I'll be putting those on Facebook, and they'll be available in different stores and stuff like that. So definitely hit me up at the end of January if you want to buy a Tour Series disc from me. I appreciate the support. And it's going to be a really cool looking stamp.
All right. We look forward to seeing it.
All right. Yeah, I was just trying to think of all the different stamps, all the different plastic types. You certainly probably have some funneling to do to get narrowed down to exactly what it is that's going to be your best fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it'll be a combination of my favorite discs as well as the ones that, are that they have the biggest market for. And I do believe, though, before my Signature Series disc comes out, I believe they'll be coming out with Signature Series disc for Matt Dollar and Elaine King, prior to my disc coming out, as is part of their kind of agreement. So yeah, so we'll be seeing lots of Signature discs out this year, I believe, and then the Tour Series will be available relatively soon.
Very cool. Uh, to me, it was such a huge shakeup to see Elaine, who for so many years, of course, being with Discraft, to watch her move over to MVP last year. And, I think it's fair to say she didn't feel like she got the support that she was looking for. And hence she, looked for alternatives. And watching her, after being with a company for so long, watching her move over and then obviously continue to have success and to get more and more comfortable with those molds. And we all know that, all of our skilled players just need a little bit of that practice or transition period to move into simply getting a different mold. It's just been awesome to see. And it's clear to me that MVP wants to support both the men's and the women's side of the game. And I see that by Jennifer Sawyer, who I know is very active on social media, and a lot of the the posts that go around. They're actively promoting everybody, which is great to see, and I'm sure that has to resonate with you.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have an entire, we have a women's team. In fact, we have a team captain just for the women. We have an entire group dedicated to the women. I love how, in general, the MVP concept of how the women are treated is that they respect that, women are slightly different organisms than the men, and that we have different needs and different opinions about things, and they respect that, and they will listen to the voices of the women. And we have a pretty strong women's team. So that it speaks volumes that they recognize, that there are differences and that's okay, and that we're going to do our best to understand them and make policies, of that treat women like they should be treated. So
yeah, shout out to Emma. I saw she was picked up, young gun, out of Michigan. I met her and of course her father, but she's an awesome individual who I've personally met and hung out with a little bit as well. So congrats to her. I know she was recently picked up and put on the team also. All right, Sarah. So we know you're touring. You're going to be hitting up the big events. You're going to be doing more than just playing. You're going to be, selling and vending and giving lessons and helping out in a lot of different ways, clinics and those types of things. The media has been a hot topic. You've obviously been very supportive and vocal of what we've seen on the media side throughout the last few years in a lot of different ways in terms of how disc golf media has been with the women and supported the women or not supported or whatever you want to say in all those different capacities. What do you see as we move into 2019's media for disc golf? What's the water like? Warm, cold, indifferent? Where do you sit? Hey, Ruby.
I'm still waiting to hear, of course, the full media plan from the Pro Tour. I know that they've had to deal with, just a lot of conflicting situations with the way the sponsorships are happening between both the tournament and the media coverage. And honestly, I really trust Steve Dodge and his team of really talented and intelligent individuals to put together that team that is going to be great for the Pro Tour. I'm sure there's going to be a learning curve. I expect that. And I just hope that people will understand that, this is not Steve Dodge trying to get rich. This is not him. This is not him doing anything nasty behind the scenes. This is a necessary step that the media has to take as the sport grows. And this is part of the growing pains of, the amount of invested interests in each of the tournaments, including the media. And, that's life. And I hope that people are just open-minded about it. I mean, clearly you guys do a great job. Jomas does a great job. Central Coast does a great job. And, everybody's going to do what they can to try to just keep continuing to take the media to the next level. So I support all of the media, including Steve Dodge's new plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you nailed it right on the head that it's a transitional period, but also I think the biggest thing that is overlooked by so many, and it's something that Johnny and I have seen and experienced from day one, that the conflicting entities and the conflicting sponsorships and exposure is part of, it's not the entire component here, but it is a very large part of these challenges. And to use the MVP Open as a great example, to have the MVP Open at Maple Hill on the Pro Tour, but to then have media companies
have 3 other sponsors,
have everyone but MVP as a sponsor on the actual coverage of the event. And I'm just using that as one of many examples. That is a very large part of this problem, or of the conflict that's at hand. And there's more to it than just that. But we see that every single weekend when you go to an event. And I've been, as the disc golf guy and as Smashbox, we also have been subject to that. To go to a tournament and be blasting out a banner of any one company that is a direct competitor to the other company, that's where a large part of the challenge lies. And who knows where those things will ultimately shake out. But that's definitely a huge part of the problem. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. And, it's okay that, that that this is not going to be just the same as it used to be. I know change is hard, but the only change people really like is a change that looks just like the old stuff,
Yeah.
So, we just have to be open-minded about it, and, instead of complaining and boycotting and, basically talking about stuff that we don't really understand fully, let's just support the media, in general. And, be understanding that, clearly if you put $20,000 into sponsoring as a title sponsor for a tournament, you don't want those 100,000 views to see Innova, or, if you're MVP, you don't want them to see Innova on the broadcast. You want them to see MVP. And so there has to be a way to solve that. And that is really what the Pro Tour has taken upon themselves to figure out a solution that works for everyone.
Yeah. And fair not to say out loud and publicly, but I will here. It's our podcast. I'm not sure that we're going to see a lot of solutions from the national tour perspective. And I say there's not necessarily a problem, but I think that challenge will still exist because the national tour hasn't quite adopted a policy that necessarily has hit that head on. And that is going to continue to be a problem. If I personally, as the disc golf guy, want to show up to, I'll say, Vegas or the Masters Cup, and I want to bring someone aboard that isn't Innova as a sponsor of coverage, if I were to go there and cover it, there's going to be a major riff, and that continues to be a challenge, and it's both good and bad, and I see the pros and the cons, but at least on the NT side, that's still going to be a problem, at least for probably 2019, and we'll see if there's any adjustment in 2019 or 2020. But people need to know that.
Well, as I know, we've had a lot of talks directly with Steve Hill and the PDGA, and I know he's, as I said, he's working on, and he's also working on making sure that we see a lot of coverage for FPO as well. He is, the PDGA is fully behind a lot of the, as close as we can get to, I don't want to say equal coverage, but we'll say equal as far as maybe percentages style coverage. We want to make sure that at least the top card of FPO is represented as well, if not better, than the top card of MPO. So, and I think that's a big change that we've seen partially directly because of Sarah in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
If not even sooner.
Well, I wouldn't take any real credit for that, but I definitely, I think that maybe, that symposium speech, brought a little bit of the disparity between the two, the two divisions. It brought that to light a little bit. And last fall at the summit, when I watched Steve Dodge's presentation talking about the Pro Tour, I mean, he literally proved that, the reason why we haven't gotten a lot of views and people use that as a reason why they don't want to cover it is directly related to the fact that we haven't been covered in the past. And, the if you build it, they will come model is the way it works. And he proved that with the way he's handled the women, and has proven that through the numbers and the major increases in views that the FPO divisions have been getting since the coverage has started to increase. So I think the PDGA listened to that, very intently, and I think that they also agree. And I would just encourage, continued other media companies to continue to be willing to cover the women and understand that it's an investment in your future audience.
Yeah, and I think we've seen it with, even we say this same thing about the MPO. If you want to be a fan of somebody, you need to see that person. And if we're not seeing the FPO, it's a lot harder to become a fan of a specific player or brand or however you want to express your fandom. So it's got to start somewhere, and sometimes it sucks taking that first step, being the first one to put that money into it when they don't see as much of a return as you may see. But as you said, it's an investment that you're hopefully going to see come back in the future. So I guess all we can do is wait for 2019 and see it.
Yeah, and I would even go as far as to say it's not something that you can hope to see. It's something that you will see. You just have to take that first step and continue to take those steps. We are seeing it. It is the reality. The numbers do prove it.
If we could grant you, and trust me, we do not have this power, but if we could grant you a single wish or completed development for 2019 and media, what would that look like? Yeah, albeit, it has to be somewhat practical. If there was something that if we could reflect in 1 year from now and say, man, I'm really glad that happened, or it was great to see that come to fruition, what would that be for you?
Ooh, there's a couple things at the top of the list. But I only get one.
I see. Start with one.
I'll just give you maybe a couple. It's hard to say what would be the most effective way. And I'm more of a realist, so I'm not going to, expect a genie to pop out of a bottle and give me what I want. But I would say that I'm more of a focus on introducing the audience to the FPO players, doing some more of that kind of backstory. There's a lot of women out there playing and working hard that they have a really good backstory. They've been through something, or they dedicate their time to something, or, there's a lot of, the women out here, this is not something, living the tour life, it seems kind of glamorous to some people, but it is for self-starters. This is not the type of situation where you can just drive in your car and then go play tournaments. If you want to be on the road, you have to have a multitude of ways to make that happen, and you have to make it happen. So anybody who's able to survive out on the road for any length of time, there's something special there that, the world can, if they got to know these women, they would fall in love with them, and they couldn't wait for the FPO coverage to come out. So I think that that's one thing. And then of course the other is, the important part is, getting to watch them play, and not just the lead card, get to know these players, and you're going to enjoy watching them play even more. So I guess those two things.
No, and those are great. I think those are practical. I think those are specific. I guess I hate to use the word challenge here, but I'll follow up and just say, what's the way to go about getting more women's coverage? Like what is the most practical way for us to get more women's coverage? Just in terms of just sheer quantity, because to be fair, right now we have roughly 2 or 3 or maybe 4-ish, I'll say, consistent or fully dedicated channels, really maybe even 1 or just 2. What would you say, how is it practical for all of us to see and obtain more women's coverage?
Well, I think that it has to come to a compromise from all angles. We have to have TDs who are willing to split some of the media money off to the women. We have to have media companies that are willing to pay to earn slightly less in order to cover the women. And then, we have to, as a community of disc golfers, we have to find ways and work together to fundraise to help supplement some of this coverage. The PDGA supplements a lot of the women's coverage already, to make sure that it happens. I mean, as the women's committee, there's several of us on the women's committee, and I think that as a women's committee, we could even, kind of come together and do, a fundraiser stamp, and then those funds be used to supplement the women's coverage. But that would require that, the public purchases those discs to support that cause. Individual disc manufacturers coming up with doesn't cost much to get some art done and a plate made. Make a plate, make some art, sell it, give you a reason, an extra little bump on your sales and your marketing and your advertising, and sell this disc specifically to donate to maybe the women's side coverage of your title event. Clubs could even do the same thing. Making a stamp specifically for the women, sponsoring, a couple of their local ladies to play some of the bigger events to represent the club, sponsoring the media of your local tournaments to cover the women's side. There's a lot of avenues that's, people have to take initiative and want to do it. And I think we're getting there, and I hope that, more people see that and are willing to kind of put themselves out there and support the cause.
Yeah, and I think it, in addition to all of those things, I almost think we need more crews. We need more people, more, physical boots on the ground doing more filming. And at a certain point, we can call for that. But if those aren't coming forward, there's an inherent problem right there as well. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I'll be interested to see if that's an opportunity that somebody is maybe right on the cusp of doing or is interested in doing. I think just in general, we need more people that are interested in going out and filming golf.
Yeah, and it does seem, there's certainly a few more companies doing that now than there ever has been.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe it's those lesser known companies that, are willing to bite the bullet and, cover the women and enjoy that and, really embrace how awesome women's disc golf is.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see how either the up and coming companies or even the established companies, how everyone continues to navigate the financial components to all of it. Like you've said, who's paying, where are they paying, who's supporting, all of those entities, myself included, have to think about the reality of compensation, because there's like a goodwill gesture, and then there's support, and then there's also the reality of buying food and doing all the simple things that go along with having and being a full-time producer or filmmaker or whatever. So I think there's just a lot of unknowns. And just like we have touring players that trust in the idea of, I'm going to go on tour and I'm going to try and play disc golf and get by or be successful or come out ahead or whatever your goal is, I think that can be said of all of our media companies. And they may have as big or even bigger startup challenges, because in order to be taken seriously, there's a lot of investment financially that you have to make as well to go out and start filming. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's all part of our growing, evolving, changing landscape. And, 5 years ago, who would have guessed we'd have even what we have now? So we'll see how it goes.
Certainly. And also, don't misunderstand me. Also, I do expect that, our top media companies still continue to cover the women. Let's not just leave that for all the newbies per se.
Sure.
I mean, when you've got 100,000 people subscribing to your channel and you never cover the women, it says something to me. And so I'd like to see a little more coverage, even from the top people in the media game.
Sure.
I know Las Vegas Open, particularly. I've
Challenge.
Or Las Vegas Challenge.
I got to be that guy.
Whatever. Yeah. I know the PDGA is paying the Jomez company to do MPO and FPO coverage. So we will see Jomez covering FPO at Las Vegas Open for certain. So
All
Las
right.
Vegas Challenge. Whatever.
I know.
The LVOC.
The LVC. So much rum in the LVC.
Let me come up to your event and I'll call it the right thing.
You may or may not. You got to be excited, and then we'll move off of media, but you got to be excited. As you said, Steve Dodge at the summit had kind of broken the news to the world, including us at the time, but to the whole world, that he plans to have live coverage, and that's a commitment for live coverage of the FPO division in 2019. Obviously, that's got to be exciting. You don't see any drawbacks or downsides to that, right? That's awesome.
I don't. Yeah, no downsides. Honestly, no. And I just really hope that everyone out there tunes in.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. We saw last year at Worlds when we did it that, you know, with the great story that Paige Bjerkes had and the chase and this and that there is a what's the word I want to look for? There's a want for it. I mean, there are people who will watch, hands down. It's disc golf. People love disc golf, regardless of who's throwing, whether it's men or women. People like to watch, and I think we're going to see that roll right into 2019, and it's going to build.
Yes, and you know, I really do think that getting to know the players is really going to help build that. You know, I mean, I had a conversation with my sister-in-law even today, and you know, she's asked me, "Do people really hate on you? Like, you know, do they really, you know, do they really say mean things to you?" And I said, "Well, yeah, you know, when anybody puts themselves out there, that happens." But what my response really was, you know, in the end is that, you know, they just don't know me. You know, when people get to know me, you know, that they wouldn't even dream of saying some of those nasty things about me. It's people who don't know me, and they don't know me because, you know, there's been such little coverage of the women, and there's not a lot of backstory to most of us, you know, and so that's what I really feel like is going to bring the views, is when people get to know these players.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Having both live MPO and FPO, God bless the crews that are going to be out there busting their tails to make sure that it happens. But we're certainly excited to see how it unfolds here in this season and beyond. I know we have had conversations over at the GBO, of course, with Doug and Bobby and the rest of the crew over there about having both live FPO and MPO. So we're excited from our perspective that we're going to be putting that forward for the GBO, where we are involved from a live capacity. But for all of disc golf, we've got to be excited that opportunity is going to be here this year. So like you said, everyone can tune in and take in the action.
Yeah, do it.
All right, Sarah, any parting shots, any final words before we let you go here tonight?
Well, I guess want to say thanks to everybody who tuned in, and thank you to MVP for picking me up this year. I'm really excited, and for everybody who wants me to come to their hometown and do one of our throw and go MVPs. It includes the clinic, a 2-disc challenge, a disc fit process. You'll get to test out any of the molds you'd like, and we'll fit you with the discs. You know, hit me up. Let me know where you're at, what's your club, and what do you think the best course is to do an event like that, and we'll try to make it happen. And if not this year, we'll definitely try to get there the following year. And then I got a huge thank you to my other sponsors, Paragon. If you need club tags, especially the ladies clubs, he has a no minimum on tags. You know, even if you only have 4 people in your club for women and for your women's league, hit him up. He doesn't have a minimum. He'll do 4 tags for you. Also, big thanks to Zuka and Rick Aroons and Smith Optics, and then also Disc Golf Strong. We've been testing this great app that he's developed over the course of this off season, and I believe, I don't mean to steal his thunder, so hopefully he doesn't mind, but I do believe that app will be dropping on Monday of this next week.
What?
And it's a powerful training tool. You know, he's so good at identifying the best ways to increase your strength and mobility, keep you injury free. He's, you know, everything that he's done for me over the last few years, I've completely integrated it into my game. And, you know, if you're trying to be strong and play disc golf and not be injured and be able to play disc golf basically for as long as possible, he's the guy to hit up, and his new app is just awesome. So look forward to that coming out.
Alrighty, Sarah. Well, as always, thank you so much. Thanks also for your patience. Well, we had a little technical mishap for a second, so thank you for that. And looking forward to seeing you out on the tour, and Robin and little Ruby out there. Looking forward to seeing you guys out on the tour this year, and we know there's plenty of exciting things in store. So we'll see you in probably a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you in the Southwest. Whoop, whoop.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you. See ya. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Sarah.
See ya.
All right. Sarah Hokom with MVP Streamline Axiom Discs. We'll say MVP.
I think we just go with MVP.
Okay, that's fair enough. But very exciting. I believe it was a full 5 years as her tenure with Legacy. And I know she's got love for the Ricos. I know we didn't actually get too far into it, but I know she's got plenty of love for the Ricos.
Oh, of course.
Steve has told
Everybody
us the
does.
same, and Steve Rico, that is, they're a family there. They're a family business, and everyone among them is family. So even if someone does step aside or move on with another opportunity, everyone's understanding, and to see that camaraderie still take place, and to see some of the thoughtfulness that I've seen out of the Ricos, even when people like an AJ or anyone has moved on from that family into another one, it's just become extended family. And so hats off to the Ricos, hats off to Legacy, and congratulations to MVP for picking up such an ambassador in Sarah. Very much so.
Very, very much so.
All righty. Are we good on all official show business here tonight?
I believe we are. I probably should have pulled this up.
So you're going to go ahead and you're going to run through the PDGA. Anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna check the PDGA news site to see if anything updated. Nothing really new. No new news.
Somebody interviewed Sarah. Well, you got it here last.
That's right.
But best.
We don't really have anything.
Renew your PDGA subscription, as many of you already know.
Renew for a few years.
Yeah, and you will get the pro membership from UDisc. So make sure you renew your PDGA or become a new PDGA member. And if you're looking to become a new PDGA member, reach out to me. I believe we have a discount code available to you for 10% off a new membership, not a renewal, but a new membership. Reach out to me. And if you don't have one already, I can get you a discount code. Yeah, pretty exciting. Quick notes, as we just saw the PDGA site up there a moment ago, and I see our current world champion in Paige Bierkes. Saw that she is continuing to work on her van, so she's joining that van life.
Nice.
Looking really good and getting it all put together. Lisa Fakis, I'm not sure if that was before or after last week's show, but Lisa Fakis also has bought a Sprinter van type. I refer to them all as Sprinter vans. Has bought another touring. She's working on it. I saw that hardwood floor was laid and panels are being put up, so she's working on it. And another world champion, Greg Barsby, has stepped into the Sprinter van style tour life, and I saw that post a day or two ago. So I'm excited to get all these vans lined up and have them at an event. I think there's some really cool opportunities for some fun stuff that could happen. I think they should all race, personally. Just go out, we'll get them on a course, and not a disc golf course, but we have to stop by a speedway some point during the year, get them all on a speedway, and have them take their vans out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Half of them are probably the exact same model and everything, and it's going to make no difference. But what I do want you to do is
you are insulting race drivers everywhere by insinuating that it is not that it's
not the car, it's the racer.
Yeah, or no, that it's the. Well, you just said they all have the same model, so it's not going to make a difference.
Correct. So it's going to come down to the racer, and most of our drivers are not racers. They're drivers.
That's what will make it fun.
Oh, jeez.
Dale forever.
What?
I don't know what that means.
Look out for that third turn.
Ouch.
Anyway.
Too soon.
What I would like to see you do is do a van life series of all the different tour vans and just the different styles. We see Paige Bierkes's. She's got this really cool spot for tables and what they thought, what they needed going into it, if they would change anything. I think that'd be a really fun series.
I agree. And Lisa putting a bike in hers.
Yep. And then walk into Paul Macbeth's RV and be like, what did you want?
Yeah. There's so I think I saw Sarah Hokom logically is going to be replacing the wrap on hers, as she last year had it wrapped with Legacy. Of course, that will get updated. for this year as well.
How do you feel about her decision to take a 1-year deal to see how things work out, and then an extended deal, assuming things go the way they want afterwards, as opposed to going immediately with a guaranteed long-term deal?
Yeah, like 4 years, 1 million is what I heard she was going to get.
Yeah.
But she turned it down to go with 1 year for a little less. I think that was incredibly insightful on her behalf.
Mhm.
I like it because, yeah, we're seeing her switch sponsors, and I don't want to say, does it feel kind of like a prenup? Like, I don't want to lock into a long-term deal, but I do love it. I really do. I think that is great because she's going to a new company with all new people, and that shouldn't necessarily raise doubt, but it would make it a little less messy. Maybe she doesn't adapt, and I think she will, but let's say she doesn't adapt, or let's say she doesn't meet certain sales goals or whatever. That 1 year kind of gives you, after this first year, kind of gives you that wiggle room, and or flat out. And I'll say, when she said that, I really, really like that.
Because, God, this is going to sound so bad.
Wow.
Someone of her age at this point in the sport, she's been around
22?
Yes, 22, may be looking for, like a Paul Macbeth, a long-term deal immediately, because it could go both ways. MVP could look at it and say, oh, we're not getting the return on value from Sarah that we thought we would, so we are going to not renew the contract. A lot of times, depending on if you're looking at traditional sports, you are looking for a longer-term deal most of the time as a player to guarantee yourself that deal. And she has been touring, as we've said, for 10 years. She's in, I'm not even going to guess at how old she is, early 30s, we'll just say. So
23 most.
At most, Terry. You're looking at that type of pros and cons.
Sure. And maybe that's exactly how they reassess after this year. After 2019.
Of course.
And maybe she knocks it out of the park. She's a perfect fit, and then says, you know what? I'm ready to sign a 5-year.
Yeah. And I don't doubt that any of that would happen, knowing Sarah personally, that she is she's very intelligent, she's well-spoken, she has her head right on straight and knows what she wants and where she's going. She's a very good ambassador for whatever team she's on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't doubt that will happen. Just saying that it's an interesting way to go about it when most players, as we've seen, are signing 2 year or longer deals right now. And she just decided to go with a 1-year deal.
Well,
it was agreed upon between the two.
I guess quickly, let's look at how many, though, people that sign multi-year deals were re-signing.
Renewing.
Eagle, multi-year deal, was re-signing. Sexton was re-signing multi-year.
Michael Joe,
multi-year with existing company. What did Coling do? Was Coling? I don't know if Coling was in the right.
He hasn't really been mentioned.
Who else? Well, obviously Macbeth is went to a new company, but most of the people that Simon 5-year deal.
Jen Allen, Nate Sexton.
Yeah, almost every one of those, with the exception of Paul. Was re-signing for a multi-year deal with an already existing company. Chris Dickerson's 2-year deal was to remain with Prodigy. So did anyone switch and go to a multi-year deal with someone new?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Kevin Jones?
Yep, Kevin Jones. Other than Macbeth, we look at Grady Shue, went from Discmania to Latitude. He signed a 2-year deal.
He did sign 2 years,
yep.
Okay.
There's a few that aren't named here. Vanessa Van Dyken wasn't named. Kyle Crabtree wasn't named. As far as
AJ Risley was an extension.
Yep.
So most so extensions included Zach Melton as well.
Yuli, obviously a 3-year
was a
deal.
New one.
Prodigy to Discraft. I mean, granted, he was a Discraft sponsor player many years ago. We're looking at
Paige Pierce's extension multi-year was the same. Paige Bjerkes was the same.
Yeah, a lot of. Correct.
I'm not completely poking a hole in your theory, but kind of.
No, it's just a different way to look at it. I mean, as a player, you feel like you are a known commodity. As a company, you don't want to sign a long-term deal usually with someone who may stop touring in 2 years.
Sure. No, I
don't see that happening with Sarah in general. I'm just looking at it from a company perspective versus a player's perspective. I wanted to flip the script and see how that perspective went.
I think one of the other big takeaways from Sarah, and I know she referenced Robin as a manager and maybe a partial negotiator in this situation. I'm curious to see if we're going to continue to see those roles expanded and become more prevalent. And
I think we should.
I think we should. There was a lot of talk of the disc golf DGI, disc golf. What was the I? Disc golf group. Anyway, whoever that. I apologize. I'm blanking. What? There was a lot of talk about it, and I'm not at all on the wagon of a lot of people who said it's been 6 months or it's been a year. What have they done? I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying it as in a curious way. What has come of that? Is it too early to judge? Because we knew last year when that got announced that a lot of things were either in place or they're not going to necessarily turn around sponsorship deals like, oh, hey, we represent you. Now tomorrow we've got this big multi-million-dollar contract, or we've got this big offering for you. But we're on a year now, right? A year or more in terms of them being announced. I'd love to know more of what their role has been, what their influence have been, what have some of the accomplishments or things that they're working on, and that's purely from a curiosity standpoint. I'm not asking it in a I'll say with any tone of condescension or accusatory way. It's just more curiosity. I'd love to know where that all stands. Do you know?
No.
Why not? I thought you had all the ins.
Well, just a few.
Just a few of the ins. So, yeah. I think
we can wrap this up, Terry.
I was just going to say, I think we can wrap this up
show.
Because I've got other random roaming thoughts, and that's usually after show fodder. So I will do just that. I would like to thank Dustin and Hannah, and I would like to thank Esther along with Silas for joining us, and then, of course, I'd like to thank Sarah Hokom. I can't say it enough. I wish the best of luck to all 5 of those individuals and the further tentacles that they possess in disc golf. I wish all of them the best. Looking forward to an awesome 2019 and beyond with all of them. All very different approaches, all within our disc golf family, which to me just speaks volumes about what disc golf has to offer. It's very exciting to see and to hear. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's been podcast 229. Stick around for the after show. We've got some free giveaways for our Patreon supporters, and we'll talk about things disc golf and non-disc golf related. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SmashBoxxTV 229 podcast after show.
Really?
Yeah.
Held it a little long there.
Little long. I was going to try and go into a grovel or a grind, which is exactly what my computer eventually did in the last day or so. Went to just a flat-out grind. Good news is, doesn't appear to be the hard drive. Instead, it's a fan.
Just a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a fan of the fan.
Not a fan. Doing some hardcore editing. And the end is near. There's a lot of things that are like in queue or hanging out, waiting for this, waiting for that. That story's never changing. And I'm not calling out Yuli or Eric Oakley or Yuli again or AJ Risley or any of those guys to help with some commentary that we've discussed a few times. I'm not calling out any of them. But in the next few days, we're going to see some fresh new content coming to us from Australia.
That sounds wonderful.
I'm excited because obviously it's a course that most of the planet hasn't seen. And we're going to have some commentators that we maybe have never heard before. And that also excites me. So, and a little bit of a hint. No spoilers. The one hint I'll give, the first commentary team for round number 1 is a male-female combo. And I'm excited to see how that shakes out. So, look for that coming to a YouTube's near you. You excited?
I am really overly excited.
You better be.
I'm over the moon excited.
Over the moon. So we're going to have 3. You want to talk about YouTube and chill time. We're going to have 3 rounds that were each 27 holes. And I know we talked about it last week, how to split them up. I ultimately went with roughly 14 and 13 holes as the as a 2-part version for each round. So about 40 and 45 or 45 and 40 minutes each. So there will be 6 total videos to highlight the 3 rounds of the Australian Disc Golf Championship. So look for those hopefully in the next couple of days.
All right. I'm looking at this this Dropbox folder, and I'm seeing these are early designs for possible shirts that
wow.
some of our people might see.
Are you going to tease shirts these out? Tease them? Tease
really?
Shirts? It's there somewhere. I just have to think about it. I mean, I was off the dome and all, so.
Oh, my Lord. All right. So this is Tim Courts. I didn't really give him too much direction. I kind of just threw a couple things at him and said, hey, let's do this. And there's a little feedback I'll give him, and some of them I really like, but I'll keep that to myself.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah. No, there's some of them.
Some. Only some.
Some are really nice. Some are just okay.
What a jerk.
You know? But you know what? They'll all get there. I guarantee it. So let's take a look.
Oh,
this looks like a 2019 SmashBoxx supporter shirt. It says 2019 SmashBoxx supporter.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like what you did there.
Yeah. This shirt's a SmashBoxx exclusive. I think that's clever. I like that. Keep calm and step inside the SmashBoxx. I'm not sold on that one. I think that meme is kind of, or that trend has passed us to keep calm a little bit. But we'll see.
What if it was get fired the F up and step inside the SmashBoxx?
Yeah, it could be. This one just said step inside the SmashBoxx. I really like this one, certified Smashy, with a nice little gear logo going into it.
Remember that one time when that one meanie said that Smashy was a dumb word and we should quit using it because we sound stupid?
Yeah. There's one that says the after show SmashBoxx exclusive. There's a Johnny V's Pizzeria one. It says the pie that Heisers, no pineapple. Thank you. That's what we have so far.
That sounds disgusting.
No pineapple?
Yeah.
No pineapple is the way to go. And I know he said he's got one more he's working on as well for Terry.
Or as the dude says, keep calm and eat a bag of SmashBoxx. I'm not gonna lie, that one's funny.
It's funny.
That makes me laugh.
That is. I like that.
Yeah.
So thanks to Tim. We'll work on some of these and make sure that they're up to snuff. And excited. I'm excited that we can we're going to be able to get some of our some merch out there and let everybody bask in the smashiness of it.
Yeah, and a few of you have received SmashBox shirts, whether you
may
have bought them or I just handed them out or whatever I did with them. They're very straightforward, usually just have our logo on them. Many have been given away as SmashBox Patreon supporters on our weekly giveaways, and some of you have seen them at a few of the events. We do have some of those still available if you're interested in one of those as well. However, these are all new, fresh designs, and we want to thank Tim for taking a stab here and working with Johnny.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's part of the biggest challenge right there.
Yeah, like I said, I really like the after show one. Some of them, I think, as someone said, they're very wordy on some of them. And I think maybe we'll look at scaling some of that back a little bit.
Oh, I think they meant the show, not
that,
the shirt.
Jesus, yes, that is certainly. Yeah, he's just taking a note from the show, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, exactly.
David John asks, what is the best format for a putting league? And I'm going to say the one that you can go to.
Ayo.
I really like, this year we've done the Marksman League, and I enjoy it. It's fun. It's, you could do the same thing without marksman baskets if you so chose. I think a lot of people really like the Marksman League because it's very easy to score on UDisc. There's a nice big global leaderboard, and there's a set format to it, where you just putt from different distances at different baskets. But we've seen other different styles of putting league, as far as maybe a one-on-one challenge you could do, a bracket style. You could, different obstacles you can put in front of baskets if you really want to get kind of crazy with it.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on what you're trying to achieve with it. Are you looking for efficiency? Are you looking for people to get the most amount of putts, actual putting practice in, so to speak, throughout it? Or are you looking for it to be maybe a little bit slower pace but more social? Do you have some form of a sponsorship component to it? Are you at a brewery? I think about the time when I was at the USDGC and we went to one of the putting leagues there. It had 60 or 80 or 100 people, whatever it was. It was crazy. And there was a good time to be socially interactive, and you just have to decide what's the best style, either for you to participate or for you to be administering or running. And those are things that I think you want to consider. Also, the timeliness of it. I like the idea that at our local marksman league, now whether it has 20 or 15 or 20 or 30 people, obviously will impact how quickly you can get through the setup. But if you can make it so that it is a relatively flexible start time, I think that's really advantageous for a lot of people, or it can be. And I also like that if you really want to kind of get in and get out, but yet make your weekly appearance, you can do that at the league we're involved in currently.
Correct.
You can get in and get out probably in under 30 minutes if you really were like pushing or kind of antsy to do so. Most people take it a little slower than that, but you could get in and out relatively quickly if you really wanted to. So those are all things. If I were to be a league administrator of a putting league, those are all the types of things I would think about in terms of putting it together. And another thing is thinking about the stations. If it's not a marksman league and it's kind of these random stations, you have to think about where are discs flying to, what are the things that can come into play, and then can more than one person be putting at once? And we found at some of the previous leagues that if literally one person can be going through either a set of baskets or a portion of the course at a time, it can really slow things down. So those are all things that I think someone should be considering when they're putting together a putting league.
Agreed.
I hope I answered you on that.
On all those aspects. I don't think there is a best format. I think you just, a flex start is, as Terry said, very important because not everyone can make it there at 6:30 or at 7. And if you can let people show up at 10, 15, 20 minutes late and still get in and get what they need done, that's going to improve your attendance, hands down.
David John says, yeah, Charlotte's doesn't have stations. It's like cornhole where they go back and forth, or horseshoe, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, again, I've seen a lot of different formats in a lot of different places, and I think they all have pros and cons. I don't know if someone's talking about the PDGA. What does the PDGA have to say? It's interesting because whether you're joking or not, we really seen at the World Championships, and I'm going to call on Jay Redding. Hey, Jay, happy birthday to Des a few days ago. He's really been an advocate for an established putting format at the World Championships.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone like myself who has actually participated in quite a few of the putting challenges at the Worlds, at the Pro Worlds, there's been a different format for many, many years, and it feels like now it's becoming a little bit more standardized. That's something that Jay's been a big advocate for many years. Yeah, the PDGA Worlds is almost like a totally separate entity, but you could still take some of the tips or pointers from how it's been done at the Worlds. If you've attended a Worlds, Pro or Am, you probably have some idea where I'm going with on that. But there's a lot of different ways you could go about it.
Yeah, look how Joliet is doing theirs in the prison.
Well,
I mean, because it's a prison joke there. But they have different stations at different areas and different lengths and different, they have different heights you can putt from and a little bit of elevation, so to speak. So there's no good or bad format. Some of it might come down to where you are, what your environment is, and whether or not you have the space.
Well, and I think one of the biggest challenges, as someone like myself who very much looked into hosting a putting league over the last few winters, since being introduced to seeing them around the country, it's a interesting or a fine line you have to draw, at least for what I've seen in Wisconsin. You need some place that is nice enough and has the facilities that disc golfers want to go to. They don't want to just go to an empty garage or an empty, well, not a back alley, but go to some place that's desolate or uninviting or maybe even that doesn't serve alcohol. So you need some place that's nice enough that has some of those amenities. However, it probably can't be too nice that you can risk ruining something there.
Correct.
And that's always like that fine line for the putting leagues. We find that sometimes bowling alleys, that maybe they have like a hall or a back room that can work. Sometimes places like breweries may have a section of their warehouse facility that is okay to be in, where you're probably not going to break something, but yet it's warm enough that you could still be there, and then they happen to serve beer. So to me, in Wisconsin, that's all. That immediately, for a lot of people, will rule out, you might be able to get a gymnasium, but if you're at a school or a church or even a YMCA, you might lack that social component of having a TV nearby and having alcohol on site. So,
yep.
But you can't go into a really nice place, a nice bar and grill necessarily, because somebody's going to probably smash a light.
True story.
So I'd love to hear feedback and opinions as to what has worked for them. As a guy that searched around, like I said, a couple years ago, I eventually gave up.
Locations. Let us know what you thought. We've seen a couple pictures online of people at breweries, maybe in their back room, and obviously ours is at a particular bowling alley. Shout out to the Burnham Bowl. So,
Burnham Bowl.
Yep.
And they definitely skirt that fine line of it's not too nice.
Definitely.
It is not too nice. No one would accuse
them.
I appreciate them allowing us to be there, but no one would say, damn, this place is too nice for us.
It's a bowling alley.
Yeah, it works. It works.
What are you going to do?
Well, break something. Okay. What else do we got? We saw a few disc releases. I think The Recluse may or may not officially be out by Legacy. I know Steve Rico talked about that a little bit last week. I think we saw a few other releases.
I know Disc Golf Answer Man today, we're talking about all their 2019 releases, but this week particularly, I think the West Side Gatekeeper came out, all straight and true. So that's all I'm going to tell you about it.
Okay, sounds great.
And that's what I look for in a disc.
It's straight and true?
Yep.
So, okay, that's all we could ask for. Anything else from the social medias that we saw out there? Avery Jenkins leaving for Taiwan today. I saw that posted on the Facebooks. Not sure what he's doing there, but he said he's been there before and he's going back. So Avery heading to Taiwan, do something disc golf related, I'm guessing.
More than likely. That's what that guy does.
And I know we mentioned a little bit earlier, but we'll extend another big hug. Dynamite didn't make our regular show today. Love to him and his entire family. as he's obviously not just a regular, but a good friend of ours. And Dana's grandmother had passed away. So all of our love and thoughts go out to the entire Vitchy family and clan. So, yeah, sorry to hear that, Dana. I think back when I read the news today, and I think back to a few years ago in talking to Dana. I think we were at the USDGC, and he may have even withdrawn early or had cut his trip short to return home, or he rushed right home after the event. I think his grandmother had maybe suffered a fall or something, and I know he's very close with his grandmother. So as always, heartbreaking. But again, love and support out to the entire Vitchy family there today. So, and I know we talked about it again in the regular show, so we don't have too much further to go on it, because you nor I really partook at all. But the Macbeth series, he did mids.
Yes, they did mid ranges, and I guess the putters are going to be out on later this
the 11th,
12th.
I thought it was the 11th, but it could be the 12th.
11th or 12th or something like that. So we're going to see the putter video drop very shortly.
Oh, okay. So you're saying the actual video. I was going to take it a step further and say a few days ago, Discraft allowed vendors, of which I am one.
The 11th is when the actual discs drop.
Okay.
Like I thought I saw something along the lines of that maybe I was confused in what somebody had said, that the next video for his putters is going to come soon. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe we're going to see the video for the putter video come out in February. We haven't seen part 2, but you're right. The 5 Macbeth discs, the 4 signature, and then the proto, which I believe is like a modified Luna, will be shipping or arriving, depending on what happens, on the 11th. I saw John Macbeth post a video of an unboxing today.
No way.
Yeah, he got early access.
What?
The nerve.
That guy. I'm going to go ahead and say, I believe, because as many of you know, I'm already a vendor to all of our major manufacturers. I had ordered some of the Macbeth discs, and I think I'm gonna store a few and hoard them and just put them away for safekeeping. And then
doing the same.
I may likely sell a few as well. So those will be available. I know, and I'm not going to divulge any official details, but I know of a few retailers. So you're not allowed to ship them. Nope, nobody has them. You're not allowed to ship them. I believe they can go live for sale. I thought it was the 11th. And I know a few vendors who have done some pre-sale orders and have taken in money. I guess that's called the pre-sale, and have sold, I don't know what the appropriate term is, a lot of them.
A lot of them?
A lot.
I've
They have sold, and this is just 1 or 2 vendors that I've spoken to, have sold a ton of these discs already.
When you say these discs, are you talking each mold? So like, let's say
each mold has done well, and then specifically
the putter
has done.
Are we talking over 1,000?
Like at least 20. No, over 1,000.
Would you say for each mold from what the people you maybe have spoken to? Or close?
I mean,
guess. Here's a question: do you think that we know they sold hot?
Well, they.
Do you think that they sold 25,000 discs?
Discraft?
Correct.
Yes.
Of all the.
Yes.
So you're saying.
Yes.
25,000 discs.
And I have no. Let me.
You have no
that.
inside information. We're just
no
random
insider.
This is guessing.
Yeah, no insider information to actual Discraft books, but from what I know, what I do know, from unconfirmed sources that aren't affiliated, they've sold more than 25,000 discs since the release. That would be my guess.
Ryan Pilcher must have inside info because he says Sun King has sold a lot.
Wow.
Thanks, a lot. And Alex Heiberger says easy 25,000. Yeah. So figure, let's just say, make a wild guess. Discraft makes $6, $7, $8 on a disc.
20.
No, I mean depending on what they're
sure.
selling them to wholesale.
Okay.
We'll just say $7 a disc. And he's saying easy. Do we think that maybe Paul Macbeth just paid off his first year of the contract.
Maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was close. If they were at 80%, 70%,
200%.
Yeah, maybe more. I mean, maybe Discraft sold 50,000 discs, and or 30,000 or 50 or 70, 100,000. I don't know, and that they've paid for this first year of Paul Macbeth's contract with just these disc sales.
Yeah,
I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ryan Pilcher says Sun King has to have sold a lot. Sorry, has to have sold a lot. Probably, yeah. I missed. The English there wasn't great, Ryan. You can forgive me for mixing that up. But okay, so yeah. Jim Brown says, our 2004 Buzz is still worth anything? No, send them to me. I'll make sure to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Properly. I'll dispose of them as the way they should be. And that is in my collection.
Yeah. And
it depends on the 2004 Buzz. Most people drool over the bar stamp if you have that. So I'm guessing those probably still go for 100 to 130 is what they used to go for. Maybe they go for more now. I don't know. It depends on the condition and the color probably and this and that. But if you're looking to get rid of them and they're in good condition, reach out to me.
I will follow up and say I had made a post. I think it was right around this time last week, maybe, that I made a post putting up a few Discraft discs in the Discraft all day section of Facebook and just some random stuff. Some people jumped on a whole bunch of them. I think I sold pretty much most of what I had posted out there. And there were just a lot of random odds and ends from dating back a number of years. And one individual within that group had ultimately reached out to me, then took it a step further, and then inquired about some other discs. And when it was all said and done, there was a couple dozen discs, not just Discraft, but a couple dozen discs ultimately sent out to this particular supporter / sponsor, I'll say. And so thank you. You know who you are, and I appreciate it. And a lot of people do say things like, how can we support, whether it's the Disc Golf Guy or Smashbox or whatever. I frequently say, if there's something you're looking for that I retail or can get my hands on, or you're in the market for, and you think, hey, I need to buy this brand new grip bag anyway, why don't I purchase it from Terry? That might help support what he's doing. Certainly always feel free to reach out. So just throwing that out there as an option. All right. A couple comments off the board. Johnny's going to do a drawing here pretty soon for our Patreon supporters. I'll try and catch up on some of the comments and say, Ryan's asking, I need to know if Johnny V and I will be able to battle in Smash Brothers at the GBO.
Maybe if they have one there, sure. I would have no problem.
Are you inviting him to your hotel room to play Nintendo?
That's a little weird. No, I'm assuming he's talking about the bar that we were at last year where they had the video game console set up.
All right.
And we'll hopefully be able to play some video games again. I got to defend. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get to defend a Street Fighter title.
All right. How do we purchase these things? Yeah, and quick to follow up on my plug, shameless plug. Matthew, just reach out, hit me up on Facebook. A lot of people will say, hey, do you happen to carry this? Or, hey, I'm interested in buying an MVP portable basket. Can I just order it through you? And those are all the types of answers and things that I can do to help out with. I work with all the manufacturers. And then sometimes if you have an oddity or some rare odds or ends from throughout the years, I may or may not be holding on to it or have extras so that I could possibly let one go. Those are all types of things that you could do. Ken says, with all the new player signings, why is Macbeth the only one to release details of his contract?
Because he's top of the mountain.
We kind of said this last week, and Paul has been vocal and said he wouldn't mind.
Sarah just said she would do.
Yeah, Sarah would like to, but she can't.
Correct. That's really funny that she's like, I'd love to do all this thing. Oh, but I can't. I signed an NDA.
You know what, Sarah? I'd like to write you $1 million check, but I can't.
Because you don't have $1 million.
I didn't say it wouldn't bounce. Sarah, I'd like to buy every MVP disc you have in your van this year to support you, but I can't. So it doesn't do you any good. Yeah. So why has he released them? He's been vocal. He said he would love all of
flexing.
That. He would love to have all those details out there. And I asked last week and said, I don't want to say, does it feel like an ego thing or flexing, as Johnny has so appropriately caught up with the times.
That's what the kids say.
Yeah, exactly. If his contract, I'll just say by other standards, everyone else's standards, were mediocre. Let's just say it was quote unquote mediocre by official, like some unofficial standards or parameters. Would you want to talk about it?
Again, define mediocre. If he's making, I mean,
if he was getting the exact same as a 1,002 rated player, he probably wouldn't be telling us that.
No. But he is top of the mountain. He has
not at Throwdown the Mountain. Calvin got it.
Oh, snap.
Ouch. That's a throwback October. Watch it. This golf guy.
Wow, that's subtle, Terry. Wow. You throw that out there. He's got the biggest contract. He on top of that, he does want to see the players get paid more and everything kind of get boosted up, because a lot of players feel, and I'm kind of in that thing, the more money that gets put into the players, the more professional our sport tends to look. We just need to make sure our players look professional. It raises everything, and we will be taken more seriously.
Yeah, and he has emphatically stated that. I like the idea, he has said, I like the idea of the details being out there, because I feel that will help raise everyone's worth, and it will it'll force maybe manufacturers and other people then, there's an official bar set so that everyone else can react and plan accordingly.
Somebody brings a question up. David John says, is Paul twice as big as the next best? And I'll take that and just say, is Paul's contract twice as big, do you think, as any other player? Do you think anyone else is making 125 a year? I know you're trying to think, and let's just say in guaranteed.
No.
Guaranteed. Okay.
Because I think this is just me, because I don't think anyone else is making that guaranteed. Now, are other people making that with bonuses, incentives, sales, and other things?
Tour
I think
series,
so.
That type of stuff.
But I do not think anyone else is currently making 125 guaranteed.
Okay.
Which does speak again a lot of Paul's
power
where he sits.
Yeah. And
so,
and I'll say this,
I'd love to be wrong. Let me tell you, I'd love to be wrong, because that would set another bar, and that would tell you kind of where things are. So if somebody wants to show me that I'm wrong, please do. But I don't think that anyone else is making that guaranteed.
I'm probably there with you. I don't believe guaranteed. And here's what I think. I do believe, like you said, that a lot of players are making, not a lot, there are players making more than that with all their bonuses and incentives. But I also think if you take in Paul's bonuses and incentives on his discs,
oh, he's making at least 255 a year.
I was going to go 257, but I think Paul matches those people as well. So in those discs, if not more, as we saw just this past weekend. So it's as of right now, and we're all of 9 days into his contract. It looks like a good investment so far, you know.
For that, yeah. I mean, yeah, whatever. I'm going to move on. Luke Butch is on the board. Luke, I had a question for you. Something just before I arrived at the podcast, I thought, you know what? I'm going to be in Thailand. I'm going to film the Frisbees flying around for a couple days of the professionals that are there. I'm super excited to do so. In order to put Thailand on my official competitive list of playing disc golf in Thailand, I think my only solution, and I'll say unfortunately, and I don't think that's even the right way to put it, I think the solution is I play advanced a couple days before the pro tournament.
If that's an option, then yes.
Oh, it's an option. I'm not a very good golfer.
No, I know.
So logistically, that's an option. And Luke, look for my registration, buddy. I'm going to get in on that action. Assuming there's no major conflict. I don't think there should be. I think A few more details have been finalized for coverage in Thailand. There's going to be a Philo. This was just released. There's going to be a Philo clinic available. I think that's one of the days. I forget which day. There's a Philo clinic. Then I know there is golf for the amateur divisions on Tuesday and Wednesday. Or Wednesday and Thursday, I should say. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the pro divisions that are going to be competing. And then a couple days later, there's going to be another tournament taking place, which I won't be around for. But pretty exciting stuff.
That is pretty exciting. You know what else is exciting?
Giveaways!
Patreon giveaways.
Who doesn't want it?
Smashbox is supported by patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, and that is really the viewers and you guys. We appreciate all of you who... Terry's laughing at something. We appreciate all of you who are supporters. We appreciate everybody, as we say, but we love our supporters that much more.
Oh, yeah. I like you more.
And like I had said, get in on that new level of Patreon. For as little as $10 a month, you will be able to get a T-shirt.
Exclusive
or
t-shirt.
a shirt. I'm not even going to say a T-shirt. A shirt.
Sure, yeah.
We don't know. There might be
I think a full-color button-up. I think a corduroy shirt with some embroidery.
Sure. We've seen... you know what I should do? Go to Nico. Nico has the style, the sense.
I don't know why we wouldn't.
And figure out what he would wear. A Nico-inspired Smashbox shirt.
It sounds like a no-brainer.
And I will force Terry to wear it.
Yes.
Anyway, so for as little as $10 a month, you can be in on that particular level of Patreon. And we have a lot of other levels of Patreon as well. So take a look at that. Now, we have 205 patrons who support us currently, and I added one just a couple seconds ago at number 205. I've sorted it by email address.
Oh, my gosh.
So close to alphabetical by name, but not always. So we're gonna see what happens here. All right, let us show this. What number, Terry? What number should we pick?
1, 2. We had 5 guests tonight.
I knew you were going to say that. That's funny.
Oh, then it's not so random. We better not do it.
Oh, all right. So 5 guests. We're going to do the 5th number. Our first number is 67. Second number, 203. Third number is 174. Fourth number is 149. The 5th number is 175.
All sorted then by email address. Man, this is so random tonight.
Sam Martinson.
Hey, Sam is a
Congratulations,
Wisconsinite.
Sam Martinson.
And a huge, huge SmashBox TV supporter.
Well,
Sam.
Thank you very much, Sam. Very much appreciated. We will get you whatever Terry
it's on the way.
has. It's on the way.
Thank you, Sam. Very much so. We appreciate it. And you're Sam, I already know I'm gonna go single out Sam. Say he is a huge supporter of disc golf on many levels, not just Smashbox, but I think on many levels. So thank you very much for everything that you do, Sam. Awesome. Thank you. Now, I wanted to also follow that up quickly and say, I believe I am really caught up on Patreon giveaways. Maybe not 100%, but at least in the 90 percentile. I am very caught up on Patreon giveaways. If that is not the case, and I owe you something or we owe you something, please do not hesitate to send me a reminder, send me an email, or send me something on Facebook. But I actually believe I am very much so caught up. So please reach out.
Are you caught up on our paperwork?
No, paperwork. Who cares? People get free stuff. That's what matters.
I know, but I need the paperwork.
Our paperwork doesn't matter.
Paperwork matters to me, Terry.
You would. All right. So getting back to the board here quickly, David John. David John, I hope this isn't awkward, but I have to ask. Back in 7th grade, there was this lovely lady. We'll call her Jenny. She changed her name to spell it with an I-E. And Jenny and I became more than friends.
This is already awkward for a lot
She
of
lived
people.
on Melrose Place, which was, or actually it was Melrose Avenue. Melrose Place was a
TV show.
But she lived on Melrose. And my question to you, David John, is there any chance you know all this because you're actually her brother? because her brother was named David John. And so I don't know if this is a stretch, but I hope she's doing well. I hope your mom is doing well, and I hope you're doing well if you are, in fact, Jenny's brother, David John. I'll wait, and if you want to privately message me, you can, but hello. It's good to hear from you again.
Wow. This took a turn that I didn't expect.
How's Appleton doing over there on Melrose?
I can honestly say this did not. No, Terry, but thanks for the ride home.
Oh, that David John. All right. Okay. Yeah. That David John from Carolina. When I was there for Am Worlds this year, I gave you a ride home after we were at the brewery. I believe that's when we first met, and I randomly gave you a ride home. So,
if I were a psychiatrist, and I was like, David John, who you have recently given a ride to a few years ago, or
just this last year in Charlotte, I guess. Yep. I remember that very
versus
vividly now.
David John, who you haven't seen in 20 plus years.
30?
Probably 20 plus. 25, we'll say. 25, 15, I bet. 15 was probably the last time you saw him.
No. We're talking 7th and 8th grade.
Okay, so
we dated.
12, 13.
Not David John, but his sister.
Okay, so we'll say 27 years. 27 years that you haven't seen this David John, and you think that he's out there. What does that say about you and your unrequited love for your 7th grade girlfriend?
I just
stop
figured
pining.
Terry,
build a bridge.
Or maybe better yet, I mean, maybe it's okay. You're right. You have nailed it down. She wouldn't be stupid enough to log in under her own name. Clearly she's logging in under her brother, and it's really you, Jenny.
It's
so
throwing that out there. I
hope you're well. I hope your adopted kids are well. I hope your policeman husband is well. I hope you're doing well. So you're right. You have nailed it. You've pinpointed it. It's really not her brother. It's in fact her.
I mean, okay. It's a nice secret way to. It's like when you keep somebody in your phone as a different name.
Yeah. So.
Oh wow.
Okay.
No, she was not Jenny John.
No. But her brother went by David John.
Probably his first and middle name.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
The J Couch. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's still on, huh? You almost threw me off because Johnny V and I went to school with a Jenny Couch. Different Jenny.
We did.
And thinking that might have been her too. Maybe all of 7th and 8th grade are listening.
Wow, is this like a reunion?
No.
Is Mr. Lee on the board, or our teacher?
Yes. All right.
Wow.
David John says, we had putting league tonight at the Lenny Boy Brewery. Big Germ was there. Good. Yeah, I gave David. We met at AM Worlds at one of the brewery party things at night. We chit-chatted, as I did with a bunch of people, and then it worked out well. I think I was leaving, and he was standing there, and I said, hey, you need a ride? And I gave him a ride home on my way back to the hotel. So good to see you, buddy. All right. Yes, a little talk. We didn't talk about it on air. So CCDG, the latest vids have him rolling, Alex says. I believe CCDG, did they have the guest commentator, or maybe he grabbed the video?
I believe it is officially CCDG.
Oh. Okay, I didn't know that.
I
was under the impression that there's a rogue commentator that grabs videos and then does his own commentary over them.
Yeah.
Excuse me, so I'm not sure which was the story, but David John does want to know, though, what are you watching on TV Netflix?
Right now, we are watching Ozark Season 2.
Somebody just tonight said, one of our mutual friends said that I might like that.
It's good. It's good.
Is it Jason Bateman?
Jason Bateman.
Huh.
Not Justine, but Jason.
Damn it. Family ties, bro.
I know. Jason Bateman is in that, and he, not a big spoiler, it's very Breaking Bad-ish.
With our love.
He's embezzling. He's cleaning. He's cleaning money. And the different things he has to go through and how it continues to escalate on him. And it's very well done. It's pretty intense, and I feel like It's an hour long, so I usually only get one episode in a night if we watch it. And I think we're on episode 3 of season 2 right now.
Okay.
So
How many seasons are out?
Just 2. The second
Okay.
one just released a month or 2 ago, and it's good. I mean, I don't want to burn through it. I'm watching it with my wife, so which means we can't burn through it because I have to wait for her and she has to wait for me.
That's adorable.
But that is what I'm currently watching on Netflix.
Okay. The dude says, "Good night, guys. Have a good one." Well, you too.
Thank you, dude.
Who also clarified that it was official CCDG for that release. So good to know. The couch
Asks you to be his duos partner on Fortnite Solid Gold.
Ooh, not a good idea. I've never ever touched. Assuming you're talking about playing Fortnite, I've never touched it. If that's what you're referencing,
I saw it today when my son had it up. He was checking to see if his friends were online, and when they weren't, I said, "Okay, now you can turn it off."
yeah, I'm a PUBG guy.
Wow, pulling out PUBG.
Yeah, I'm not. I've never played it in my life.
No, I know,
so
but I'm shocked you were
like
able to pull that out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm down with all the lingo,
Wow.
all the games. I won't go into the different strokes for different folks, and I just so much time on so many videos. Everyone's got their priorities though. It's everyone's release and escape. I cannot fathom that, but there's a lot of things I do other people can't fathom.
Yeah.
Games, Johnny, what do you play for games right now?
The only games that I've been playing Super Smash Brothers with my son, and we're, like I said, we're burning through, I think it was like World of Light. That's kind of like a single player mode for like a normal, what would be a fighting game. I'm not very good at it, but I'm good enough to get past some things. I think I'm at the final boss right now. I played a little bit, and I died 2 or 3 times, and then I quit because we had to come do this. So that's really what I'm playing. I pretty much pick up maybe 2 games a year, and if it involves a Mario, a Link, or a Samus, those are my games. So I'm really waiting for Metroid 4 to come out later this year. It'll be probably the next game I really get into. I probably won't play Smash Brothers more than another probably 2 to 3 weeks, and I'll be done with that. And I'll let my kid play and do his Fortnite and playing on that. That's kind of what I do. And I'll continue to just kind of mess around with Hearthstone on the side, which is like a card game that I play when I'm bored or have to wait somewhere.
That's still a thing. Is that a classic like like a free cell or a solitaire? Because
no, it's not. I mean, it does cost.
You have to pay for it.
They come out with new cards,
Oh
so
my
like
gosh,
you can
seriously?
it's a typical thing. You complete your daily
Yeah,
challenges.
you're a damn Pokemon.
You get your coins when you play a certain amount of games, and then you can buy packs with that, and you move it up. And every like 3 to 4 months, they release a new set of cards, and they retire old cards or whatever. And then so I'll sit and complete my daily challenges. I'll get a couple $100 gold. I'll buy 2 or 3 packs. Every once in a great while, I'll drop $1 or $2 on it, but that's very rare because I don't like paying. Like I was talking to a coworker of mine, and he was saying how he incentivizes his son to do schoolwork and stuff by paying for Fortnite stuff, skins and dances, whatever. And I flat out said, I'm never will I do that with my kid. Like if he wants to spend his own money, I will have a hard time even letting him do that. But I have a hard time someone buying like an outfit or something.
Yeah, but how is that different than what you just said?
No, I know. I'm not saying it's not different, but I have a hard time letting him do it.
Okay.
Like, and because for me, if I spend $1 or $2 every month or 2, whatever. Like, I can't imagine the amount. I mean, Fortnite made $3 billion last year. It is bigger than most companies in our country, and it's brand new. And you know what? In a year, it could go away.
Yeah.
There could be the next fad, and every kid is going to not play Fortnite and move over to the next thing. I mean, that's just the way it works. And I have a hard time letting someone invest a lot of money into a game that they're just going to drop and move on with.
Yeah, but isn't that just like buying your kid and taking him to Pokemon contests?
Sure. Yeah, no, at least Pokemon, like with the cards, the actual cards, I have a tangible thing I can touch. I get that. It was like collecting baseball cards for us. Like, sure, put money in, cards, whatever. The digital stuff, I still, and I'm a
coming from the guy who is invested in Bitcoin.
I have. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a very small amount of Bitcoin.
I won't keep pinning you to the wall.
No, I have a very small amount of Bitcoin. But at least Bitcoin has a value that could go up or down. Fortnite skins, I don't think they do.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, and that's fine.
I'm just asking questions here. All right. Scroll back up. I think we missed a few things on here. Somebody said something about somebody said something about Carver G says, I want to open a brick and mortar disc golf store so bad. Imagine all the colors.
Lots of colors.
Yeah. Maybe that's a really big question for another day, but brick and mortar disc golf stores, yay or nay these days? And do you go with the location?
Bingo.
Okay.
Bingo. If you can be within about 2 blocks of a course, I think that is key. If you can't be within about 2 blocks of a course, forget about it. It's not worth it because you have other large manufacturer or large retailers, such as your Dick's Sporting Goods, Walmart. They all sell them. So if people are going to go out of their way, they're probably not going to go to you. Like if you're not next to the course. If you're next to a course, like we'll say like a Spinners on the Green, or I can't even name another one. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how few they are. So you need to have location next to a course. If you can do that, I think there's definitely value and money in that. If you can't, wow, that's tough.
Did you see the video game or the video of the kid dragging female activists and feeding them to the alligators of Red Redemption 2?
I've heard about some of the things like that. So Red Redemption 2 is a video game, and it's kind of like an open world game. You can do whatever you want.
Oh,
there's a bunch of characters. There's quests you go on, whatever, you run around and do the thing. And so part of this is like there's all these NPCs, these non-playing characters you just go and talk to. Like, hey, go on this quest and do this. Come back with the thing. Cool, I'll go do that. Well, people are apparently there's a character in there who's it's based in the 1800s. I'm assuming there's a early feminist, and people are taking her and just doing like the worst things, throwing her over cliffs, like running over her with horses, feeding her to alligators. Like it is kind of a meme at this point now that what these people are doing to this particular feminist woman.
Okay.
So I know I have not seen that. I haven't really watched any of them. I just know of of what's going on.
Carver goes on to say, just golf is going to be giant. To be determined, yeah. David John says, is it going to be windy in Vegas again? Last year was brutal in the afternoon, and I'm going to say yes.
It's Vegas.
At least 2 or 3 of the 4 days will be windy. The question is, how cold will it be? Could be 42 and windy. It could be 78 and windy. But
I'm going to go
definitely
63 and windy.
Be windy.
63 and windy.
Delwood Disc Golf has a course right there, which I've yet to get to myself, but looks like it's an amazing place to be. I'll have to get down there at some point. Should the feature card be first day tee off first? Should the feature card.
I would kind of like that as far as if I were an editor, because guess what? You get your thing done, you get off the course, and you go. You can go get your editing done and maybe actually have some time for yourself.
Yeah, and there's strategies and reasons for some of the. I mean, there's disc golf reasons, and now there's actually becoming media reasons as we're looking at some of the tee times. For instance, and I don't think this is changing anytime soon. We had the women, and I can't say we as if this is my decision, but the Pro Tour had to have the women in order to capture their round and then get it in some edited fashion up and available before the men's round, which was a very strategic goal. They had to go off as early as they did, whether it was 8 or 9 in the morning, so the editing could get done so it could be released just before the men went off. So that buffer needed to be done from from an editing perspective. And then right now, with the way editing has been going, when that last round is going off, typically at 3:00, that goes until 6 or till 7, and then the editors have to work through the night and then do commentary in the morning, and then hopefully getting it out before that next 3:00 tee off. So that's kind of the strategy now. Could they be going off earlier? First round? Sure, they could. It'll be interesting because, as Johnny said in the regular show, in Vegas in particular, it sounds as if the PDGA has enlisted Jomez to do both the men's and the women's coverage, and so they also would need some minor buffer at least,
or they're going to have multiple people,
or they're going to have more people there filming. Yes, those are the two ways to go about it. Ryan says, Wild Wild West in Grand Theft Auto. Live coverage by Smashbox? No, there will not be any live out at Vegas. As of right now, we are looking at the only national tour event to be live right now is the Glassblown Open. So,
so that answers Ryan Pilcher's question. Yes, I think it's been officially announced.
If not, yeah, it was.
Yeah, Bob. I thought Bobby reached out and said, yeah. So we will be doing live at GBO.
Yes,
and so we're working on all the details about that.
Exactly. Someone incorrectly, the tournament director himself, incorrectly listed Smashbox being at the Maricopa Open in a couple weeks. It will not be live Smashbox, as you may equate to. It'll be post-production disc golf guy coverage. So just to make a quick clarification.
And let me say this. If you really want live at some of these events, just drop a note to the TD. Let them know that is something you're interested in.
And a few dozen C notes also.
That always helps, but just let them know. And if there's a big enough swell on some of these larger events, maybe next year they'll set aside funds or something along those lines, if that's really what it said. So,
all right. Carver follows up and says, Terry, who has 100,000? Oh, you deleted it. Something about $100,000 disc golf collection, but something about being bitter. I'm not bitter. And I don't have $100,000 disc golf collection. So I don't know if you're continuing your train of thought about having a storefront or not. I'm guessing that's where you're going with it. Yes, Ryan, we're glad that was an exclusive note for you. That quick side note. What was the other football game this weekend? Many of us in the Midwest are familiar with the Bears-Eagles situation. I think I saw, for what it's worth, I saw someone maybe from the NFL even, or someone like them, someone with a little bit of credibility says it was officially tipped, which is not relevant, but
correct.
So I know that the Bears. Where were the other football games? The footballs. I was busy all weekend.
Well, there were 4 games this weekend. The Eagles
played the Bears. I know that.
Played the Bears.
That's the one I got.
Dallas.
Oh, yeah. They won over some other team.
Correct. Dallas won.
Okay.
The Chargers whooped up on the Ravens.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think of the other AFC game.
Chiefs?
No, they had a first round bye. Patriots had a first round bye.
That's a good guess. They were even there.
It was a good
guess. How much I know.
Guess. Anyway, but yeah, and then there was the national championship game because last night it was supposed to be the first podcast with AJ Risley. AJ Risley messaged me and he's like, yeah, there's like the national championship game going on. And all I kept thinking is like, are you playing in it? Like, I don't think you are. But AJ's a big sports fan, so we decided we would reschedule. I think we're doing it tomorrow. So hopefully get that taken care of and start putting those in the bank for a future release date. But yeah, Clemson handily beat Alabama in the national championship, and I did not watch a single second of it.
No, apparently there was I think they called it a blowout.
It was close after the first quarter. It was tied like 14 to, or maybe it wasn't tied. Maybe it was like 14-13, and then Clemson I think put up 14 more points in the second quarter, and then kind of just cruised with another touchdown or two. I think I saw a highlight or two and saw a scoreboard.
Okay. I don't have a heck of a lot else. I don't know if anyone else has anything on the board. If you do, please write it, submit it, ask it quickly, and because if not, we could start putting a bow on this.
We will. We
I'm
will.
trying to think about other things that I've seen, but there was on not so pleasant terms. There was like a bona fide, like legitimate, pretty scary murder that took place a few miles from my house, which I think we could probably say might happen once in my lifetime in my in my community. In my community.
Oh, I was yeah.
Like I don't think it's happened in the last 20 or 30 years, so I don't know when it's going to happen again. Hopefully never. But yeah, pretty crazy story that I live in a relatively small suburb outside of Milwaukee, and a 25-year-old decided to go. His parents lived. His parents had a place, and he went next door, where he decided to apparently suffocate the 56-year-old female. He was a 25-year-old male. He killed the 56-year-old female on what was believed to be New Year's Eve, late New Year's Eve. And by the next day was driving her car, ordering pizzas to the house, went to the Home Depot to buy gloves.
Tell me he used a credit card for it.
Oh, he used her credit card.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Even better, yeah, he used her credit card. He went to the Walmart down the road, that's maybe where he bought two bottles of bleach, like the gloves, 2 bottles of bleach, and like plastic bags, and like a knife. Like the kit you would buy if you're like, oh, I'm doing something I shouldn't be.
Hey, here's the murder kit.
And buys it all with her credit card. Also had ordered pizza to the house, to her house, had friends over while she was disposed of in the basement, not in a very conspicuous or clever manner. Like, and I hate to be like getting all worked up about it. It's just the level of stupidity and obviously the tragedy ultimately that it was, but additionally just the sheer level of cocky stupidity.
Yeah.
And just having friends over, partying at this house.
Yeah, that's
driving her car around, saying he was dog sitting and just watching this house in this car. Just all complete, just unbelievable. Duct tape, all sorts of stuff. It was unbelievable. Details have just come out.
I mean, it's a level of psychopath that you just can't even get over. We've turned into a whole nother style of podcast. Do you realize there's a whole genre of podcasts that just talk about murders?
Of course, and
mysteries.
And I only bring it up because of the community a couple miles away. In obviously just as many have said, like, this is not something that happens in my community, and hopefully something we never see or hear of again. But definitely bizarre. And then when all the details were just released kind of last night, and that's maybe why it's a little bit fresher for me, it's just cockiness, stupidity, psycho, all of those things. But yeah, all a 25-year-old male, and it's almost like there was a level of either negligence or cockiness of I don't know, or care, or carelessness. And I'm not suggesting somebody be a better criminal, but like it was just so lax. And to go to the neighborhood Walmart and Home Depot to buy these disposal items with her credit card. Huh?
Everyone knows you go out of your city, maybe even out of your state, and you pay cash.
And how about not driving her car around?
Yeah, that too. I mean, there's so many better ways to get away, to be a better criminal that we don't need to get into.
Well, and David John says forensic. No, there's no forensic files needed here. Yeah, this is shit I could crack. Like, all right,
this would be like a 10-minute, not even a 10-minute forensic files episode.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to watch them break down like just an all too obvious, completely botched. Yeah. Yeah, it was terrible. So anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're ready. We're going to call it. It's been long enough. We appreciate all of you guys joining us. Carver gives plenty of details that I won't repeat. Would you think about sponsoring someone? Matthew, I appreciate that. We're not really in the sponsoring.
I don't necessarily know if he means like him particularly, but
Would you all think about sponsoring someone? I guess, yeah, you'd have to clarify that. But let me give a real quick breakdown. We're like everyone else, and me as the disc golf guy, and Johnny and I as Smashbox. In our heads, we kind of have a rough estimate of things or of some form of a budget that we would like to offer up to people. We do get hit up often to give things away. Unfortunately, we're not really in a position. I mean, we're looking for handouts, but we're not really in a position to be out sponsoring things. There's occasionally from time to time, whether it's a initiative or a project or something that might feel like it's a little above and beyond that we want to get behind, and in some capacity we support, and we love doing it when we can. But by no means will we ever be able to satisfy every single question that comes in or every single request that comes in. So I'm not sure if that's what you were referencing. We are certainly not in any position to sponsor a player at any real level. I mean,
yeah.
Unless we, I mean, I would negotiate with Macbeth if he was in that like $100 to $200 range. Maybe. No, we wouldn't.
We can't even afford to have Paul Macbeth like wear a pair of our socks if we had him.
No. Step inside the socks box?
No. Step inside the Smash socks.
Ah, there you go. That'd be a good call.
God, you just
I ruined that one, totally.
Yeah, you totally.
Any live coverage, David John? Yes, we'll answer you head on. Live coverage currently is planned for GBO, for sure. That's locked. We're hoping Worlds, as it says, and there may or may not be something else that comes up from those. Those are the two that we're looking to be locked into at the moment, and hopefully more.
Let's wrap this up.
All right, for Johnny V, Terry Miller, Disc Golf Guy, Podcast 229 after show. See you. Good night. Bye.
Peace.
See you next week when you step inside the Smash Box.